Virginia's closely watched gubernatorial election, it's heating up with Republican candidate Glenn Youngkin calling for an investigation into a county school board. And there is an air of optimism in the upper chamber as Senators Bernie Sanders and Joe Manchin meet to strike a deal on the massive infrastructure bill by the end of this week. That would be something. Joining us now, Julia Manchester, a reporter at The Hill. Julia, last night you were in Virginia. You attended a campaign event for Youngkin. So tell us more about the announcement he made about the now infamous Loudoun County School Board. They've had a couple of controversies. This one extremely disturbing.
Right. Good morning, Adrienne. Last night, Republican gubernatorial candidate Glenn Youngkin essentially called for an investigation into two sexual assault allegations that occurred at Loudoun County schools earlier this year. Now, there are a group of parents that are claiming this was a cover-up. One of these assault incidences took place in May, the other in October. However, we are still seeing that authorities are continuing to investigate this. But Glenn Youngkin really pinning this on Democrats, including Attorney General Mark Herring, who is also running for re-election in Virginia, saying this is a problem with what's happening in Richmond. So Youngkin, once again, really grasping onto an education-related issue in an effort to fire up not only his own base, but maybe even some parents in suburban Virginia.
Yes, and whether you're on the Republican side or the Democrat side, the thought of a student being sexually assaulted in a school bathroom would get anybody to pay attention and to listen. Talk about Youngkin and his Democratic opponent, Terry McAuliffe. Of course, they're very, very close, neck and neck. Just 2 weeks left in the race. I was actually in Virginia not too long ago, and I did see it appeared to be a little more of the campaign signs for the Republican candidate, though this, again, is so close, it's too early to call anything. Have you been hearing from voters ahead of the election November 2nd?
Right. I think right now you have optimism is really high on the Republican side, and Democrats are really still trying to rally up their base to get them to turn out and vote. Now, Adrienne, Democrats naturally have a mathematical advantage in Virginia. There are simply a bit more Democratic leaning voters. So in order for McAuliffe and the Democratic ticket really to pull this off, they need to make sure they turn out all of their voters in areas like Richmond, Northern Virginia, the Hamptons Roads areas, Tidewater, all of these very important Democratic strongholds. Now, you're seeing McAuliffe recruit a lot of big Democratic names, including Vice President Kamala Harris, who's joining him on the campaign trail tomorrow in Prince William County, and former President Obama, who's coming out to campaign with him on Saturday in Richmond. You're also seeing McAuliffe start to do more national media appearances. And I've been talking to some Democrats who say they are a little nervous, but the more and more Democrats across the country and in Virginia start to pay attention to this race, they believe that their turnout will only increase. But I think regardless, Adrienne, it's safe to say we could see a very close race.
I mean, we are seeing that for sure. I have one more question for you, and it's about this infrastructure negotiation that's going on. A bit awkward this week. Senators Bernie Sanders and Joe Manchin are trying to negotiate a deal. They're trying to talk to each other about how to get to an agreement. Really, the cost has been the sticking point. And Bernie Sanders is really saying enough is enough. We are running out of time. Manchin's still sticking to the point that we can't keep throwing money at this issue. Do you think that there is a likely agreement by the end of this week? Really?
It's possible. I mean, we've heard some Democrats say that they believe there is progress being made in these negotiations. And, you know, looking back to last weekend, we saw Senator Sanders putting an op-ed in a West Virginia newspaper very much criticizing Senator Manchin, really peeving Senator Manchin, I think, as well. But then we saw the two appear for a bit of a photo op on Monday evening in front of Capitol Hill. So I think what you're seeing is Democrats really telling these two and telling both wings of the party, look, it's essential that we need to pass this Build Back Better agenda for President Biden ahead of the midterms. You know, President Biden is also heading to Europe next week for that important climate conference. Climate's a big part of this package. So I think the White House wants to see some sort of accomplishment before he heads to Europe.
Julia Manchester, thank you so much.